Thank you, the people of Africa. Thank you, the people of the world. And thank you, the people of America. Once again, Dr. Alfred is here. Today's topic is about delayed implementation of the ECO, the currency of economic community of West Africa, has been postponed for the next 5 years. Guys, I told you in my previous video. When we come back, we will be discussing the reason why they have postponed, and I will tell you guys the short-term measures they are thinking to take and the concerns they have. However, I'm going to be telling you why they will still not be able to achieve this. Thank you for coming by. Thank you for listening. And stay tuned and I'll tell you all. Thank you. I am here once again. As I told you, when we come back, we are going to be discussing the delayed in the implementation of the ECO, that is the new currency of economic community of West Africa, that was supposed to be implemented at the end of this year. African leaders had hoped the currency would be in place at the end of the year 2020. That was what they said, and that was what they sat down and agreed to do. But guys, when I came in my previous video on the interference of France in the implementation of the ECO, I told you the target they set, they cannot achieve it. It was not an achievable target in the first place. But now, on 29th of this month, which is 29th of September, my viewers, Alassane Ouattara, the president of Cote d'Ivoire, came out to announce that they will not be able to achieve the target they set by the end of this month regarding the implementation of the ECO. It is not new. It is not strange. We were far aware of this. But let me tell you what they are saying. You know, initially, I told you guys they had agreed among the member countries for the currency's launch, national budget deficits to be contained at 3% of every country's GDP. And I told you guys that it's going to be difficult for the countries to achieve within this short period for the countries to be, for the currency to be implemented within the West African community. It was not. And we know it wasn't. They were not going to be able to do that because of the economy of Africa. But this is what they did. And now Alassane Ouattara came out on the 29th of September to say that they cannot achieve it. And you know one reason why? One big excuse they gave now is that the COVID-19 has contracted the economies of Africa. The CL franc, which comprises the Central Africa ZAF and West African ZOF, currently pegged at 655.96 against the euro, to ease the economic pressure in the with the France currency. As a result, he came out to say, we cannot implement the ECO. I told you guys that France interference was the main reason that they cannot implement this. And I told in my previous video that you guys should wait and see. They are not going to be able to do it because they all have their individual differences and individual interest. That is why I was talking about when they spoke at the UN summit. I said they have failed to put their individual interest somewhere for the salvation of Africa. And this is what is happening. Alassane Ouattara, that man, is standing for France. France is using that man. And I heard strongly that Ghana has refuted it. Nigeria has refuted. They say they have spoken against it. Because he is France puppy, that man. So he is standing there to thwart, slow And even when he gets the chance to abrogate the implementation of this currency, I'm telling you, because France had a strong interest and strong hand in using him. Why? You know why? Among the the French-speaking countries, Cote d'Ivoire is the biggest economy. And France gained a lot from Cote d'Ivoire. So they're using Ouattara to be able to control the France-speaking countries. And now it is spreading to West Africa, which is not good. I said it before, that some of them go to bed with these Western countries. And let me tell you the reasons he gave. He said the currency could now be delayed for the next 5 years because of the COVID-19. We all understand, we all agreed, but until now, when were they supposed to implement this currency? It's been postponed several times. This currency has been postponed several times. And they say because of COVID-19, which has contracted the economic growth of African countries. Because it has contracted the economic growth of African countries, the currency will not stand strong against the world currencies. That is the reason. And as a result, the planned replacement will need further refinement in the next coming years. And now the minimum time range they've given for the implementation of the ECO is 5 years. That is what they do. I told you guys, my viewers, that these people go there to drink coffee, they go there to do whatever they want to do and come out and say something that they cannot achieve. And this is the reality. This is the reality. Even the short-term measures they had set, they couldn't meet it even if there was no COVID-19. They set unrealistic goals that can allow them to push further and further and further in the implementation of the currency that will achieve West African economic objectives, that will achieve West African national objectives, that will achieve West African developmental objectives, simply because there's an influence in delaying it. But I'm telling you guys, mark it. Before I go further, I'm going to tell you guys, I'm giving you the next few years before you see France will tell them, or the French countries will tend to use the currency ECO because they have signaled it to all of us. And Alassane Ouattara is agreeing to those things. I want you guys to mark it, like I told you first, that they are going to postpone this again. And this is what is coming up. They have postponed it again. Now it's bringing a divide. It will surely bring a divide into the economic powers of the country. That is the reason. And let me tell you guys, they say the short-term goals. They are now the short-term goals that will allow them to be able to achieve these objectives. You know what they say? They have to reduce spending. My viewers and people of Africa and people of the world and Africans in the diaspora, and those who have learned a lot, know about economic indicators and how things go. How can you reduce your spending? How can you reduce your spending when you are importing goods from the West? You largely depend on imports. You cannot reduce your spending when you largely depend on imports, my viewers and people of Africa. Because as much as our currency continues to depreciate, we are going to be spending more. We are going to be spending more to be able to import. So you cannot say we are going to reduce our spending. And again, if notwithstanding that, how can you reduce spending when you will have to rebuild a falling economy? You cannot reduce your spending. Now you are saying that the economy has been contracted. The economy has fallen. You can't reduce your spending when you have to rebuild the economy. It's not realistic. It's not logic economically. You can't. Because you need more, you need to spend more to rebuild your economy. You need to inject more into the system. You need to inject more in infrastructural development. You need to inject more in creating jobs. You need to inject more in helping small businesses to grow. How can you reduce your spending? You cannot reduce your spending when you need to do all these things. And how can you also reduce spending when you need to add essential infrastructure which is lacking now in Africa, even without the COVID-19. Essential infrastructure such as education, roads, schools, hospitals are lacking. How can you reduce your spending when you still need to do all those things? I tell you, every year, most African countries spend more than they had budgeted. Why? Because of some things like this. Because of things like this. And two, you know what they said? That now they are going to widen the tax base to rein the budget deficit. How are you going to widen the budget base when you already have gaps in the system that allows people to escape with the tax? Individuals, small businesses, in big corporations in Africa don't pay tax well. Because if they are operating in countries like America, United Kingdom, Canada, the Western countries, they can never have that freedom of relegating the tax like they do in African countries. So even the tax system you already have, you are not able to mobilize it. You are not able to generate revenue accordingly because you are not being strongly enforcing the laws to make individuals, corporations, and small-scale businesses pay taxes. And now you are saying you are going to widen your tax base in order to what? To recuperate the deficit. How? Because the small portion what you have, you are not even able to manage it effectively and recuperate what you are supposed to have. Because there are loopholes that companies and individuals escape with the income of the various countries of Africa. And let me tell you guys, according to Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, for African countries loses up to $50 billion annually. $50 billion annually through tax. Through tax. It means they are not able to mobilize this tax. 50 billion, which is more than the aid African countries get, the whole African continent get from foreign countries. So imagine we are able to mobilize this tax. And let me also further state to add that United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, they have put it up to $100 billion that Africa lose because they have taken different economic indicators in coming out with their results. And they believe that it's 2 times what was initially mentioned, which is far more than the aid we get from the Western countries to do our development projects. So why can't we sit down, even though the tax systems, the various tax systems we have, we now relook at it in a way that we are able to emphatically enforce it, to be able to generate more income for the various countries, so that we are able to do what we want to do, so that we are able to implement these currencies. But let me tell you the reason why. One, the individual interest cannot allow these African leaders to implement the ECO even in the next 5 years. Two, the interference of France, which is strongly using Alassane Ouattara of Cote d'Ivoire, has a strong implications for West African countries. It has strong implications for West African countries. This is the problem we are facing. And let me tell you guys, they go pick excuse or concern that some of the concerns they have is that Nigeria will dominate the FX because it is heavily reliant on oil. Of course, yes. Which country doesn't rely on one product or another? Which country? Tell me. Cote d'Ivoire rely on what? Exportation of what? Cocoa. Ghana rely on cocoa, gold. Nigeria rely on oil. But let's look at all the countries. Our economic structure cannot be the same. The level. Nigeria is a big country, and of course, they should. No matter what you put in place, they will dominate it because they have a larger economy. But if you go to say that because Nigeria rely heavily on oil, that is posing as a risk, and they say it will add a pressure to the current currency risk. That is not true. That is not true. But you know why? Because these Western countries, especially France, is using Cote d'Ivoire, using the French countries, using some of the African countries to be able to create that type of friction, raise unnecessary excuses that can create friction among these countries so that they are not able to achieve the target they want to achieve. Otherwise, every country has what it relies on in importation. The only difference is that the GDPs, you have a different GDP levels. Nigeria is a big country than most of the African countries, or to say all of the African countries, which basically means in practice, what? They will have a very higher GDP containment. They will need more forex. They have more businesses. They will need more FX to be able to deal and operate in businesses. So for African countries, or some of those that are being manipulated to say that one country will dominate, then what do you want to do? What will you want to do? Because when you do this, it's going to facilitate the trade among the countries, which means you will be able to trade more within the African countries. And looking at Nigeria, which has a larger economy, you are able to trade with them. You are able to move freely and do business in and out using the same currency. That will even minimize the level of risk of currency you are talking about. So what is it about? But we sit down, we have these leaders who sit down, as I told you, to just drink our coffee, sit down, go to that place and talk and come up. This is what they come out with, which doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. But I'm urging African people, stand up and fight for this. Stand up and fight, because our voice is the voice of Africa. Individually, that is our voice, because what they are doing is not fair. It's not fair at all. And I'm urging Ghana. Ghana has refuted this decision. Nigeria, I urge all of you. If it is that is what we need to do. If it is that the Western country, especially France, is going to be using Cote d'Ivoire, using the French countries to slow us, why can't you sit down and find a way of bringing this currency into action, into implementation without these countries? Leave them and we see the long-term effects. Who will have it? Let's see the long-term effects, because this is not something we wanted to hear. But you know, African leaders are so predictable. That is why I sat down in my previous video and I told you guys that they are never going to be able to achieve this. And that is the reality we are facing. I spoke about it. It's less than a month today. Less than a month. You see what came up. And I'm predicting to you, by the 5 years, they have extended to 5 years. And I'm telling you, by the 5 years, they'll still get an excuse to give. Or they are going to have different contradictions with each other, and that will lead to the collapse of the implementation of the ECO in Africa. And I'm going to tell you, African leaders, it will be one of the biggest shame that you are going to show to the world and to Africa as a whole, and to the young intellectuals who are coming. You'll be disappointment to the world and to the people of Africa and to people who have selected you in power. That you go there, as I said before, and go to bed with people who can influence you, for you to forget the interest of your own people. That is the issue today. Once again, the implementation of the ECO has been postponed several times. Now you are talking about for the next 5 years, which was supposed to be achieved at the end. I don't think COVID-19 would have had a serious implication to this. You know why? Because COVID-19 came in February or March. That's when it started seriously. Yes, economies have been impacted. But should we say that one would have affected the implementation at the end of the year, at the end of this year, just 3 months to the end of the year? No. But I said it. Because you know why? The target they had set to meet wasn't achievable to the end of the year. And they were so grateful. The African leaders were so grateful. They were so happy COVID-19 struck. So that they are using it as a tool, that's one. Using it as a tool on world platform, that's the UN Summit, to beg for money. It is a shame. So I urge all of you, sit down and rethink that the generation who are following you, you are not helping them. You think you are enjoying everything today, but you are putting the generation to come in a serious jeopardy. My viewers, once again, I am here telling you guys, this is what it is. And let's listen, watch this video, comment, give your feedback, and we will discuss it. We will discuss it thoroughly. Once again, thank you for watching and thank you for being here today. And please kindly share this video, subscribe, share. And the new people who will get this video, quickly subscribe and press the notification button so that you get new information from ATY TV channel. Thank you once again, the people of Africa. Thank you, the people of the world. And thank you, the people of America. I'm so grateful you gave me this opportunity to always sit inside my chair to give you information that I deserve. And thank you for encouraging me to always look at this camera and give you the information that is important to Africa and the world and America. Thank you and see you in my next video. Bye-bye.